Hi, everybody. Welcome to our new podcast, The Gameplan. My name is Micah.
My name's Kris.
And due to COVID-19, we wanted to keep it ourselves busy in updating everyone and giving our takes on different sports, news, scores, playoffs, you name it, etc.
Like, we know there's a bunch of podcasts out there, but we're happy that you guys chose us. So we're going to start off today talking about the fallout of the postponement of college football for the Big Ten and Pac-12 and other schools right now, which are planning to play. So we have just a few questions rising about students leaving campus with some schools from the SEC, the ACC, and other divisions still planning to have football this year. And it's kind of confusing because there's still a worldwide pandemic going on.
Yes. Well, COVID-19 is no joke, as we've seen throughout the last 5 months, 6 months since the shutdown in March, I would want to say. And now since the startup of school, that includes both college and high school starting up again. And we see high school sports within the South, within Eastern conferences, as well as in college with SEC, ACC, and the Big 12. They want to start up because they think, they're just giving these kids a chance to actually play rather than not letting them play at all and canceling or postponing their season until spring. To me, it is a big risk. I do believe that maybe they should play, maybe without fans. How do you feel about it, Kris?
It's a tough situation. It's something we've talked about in previous podcasts, that college football, these are technically students first, so they should be treated as students, and the university is trying to protect those students.
I think
athletic department is almost a separate entity from the school, but you guys have to think that these students are here technically for the school. But Micah, go ahead.
But pertaining to the actual title line of this article, it's saying that questions are raised as students leave. That doesn't include athletes. Depending on the school, they're primarily going to online first. And many schools, such as let's take for example Alabama, where the student section is kind of non-existent in the eyes of Nick Saban. He says they need more support from their students, and only a lot of the alumni come. And he's saying that the student population isn't really existent at many of the Alabama games that have been hosted the last couple of years. Have you seen that been a trend within football, college football, to say, Kris?
I can see that trend actually happening. I have not heard about this until now, but college football is becoming more and more another big league like the NFL, MLB, all those other big name sports. So fans of the game or fans of the school want to go and watch the season or watch a team play. Students have much more other things to worry about, and they don't see a point of going to college athletics that much. Like, I could see some big schools doing that. Like, you still see big student sections, but they're only in roughly 2 or 3 sections at most, where the rest is sold to the general public.
Yeah.
And alumni.
Mm-hmm.
So it is becoming more just a general thing, because you have fans of schools that they didn't even go to that school. They went somewhere else. Like, I'm a fan of LSU, and I never went to that school due to the fact that my school, where I went to college, did not have a professional a college football team.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Florida State, even though I haven't gone to school there. But myself and Kris, we both work at Stanford University in the athletic department, and we see like in this past year there wasn't as much students in the student section for Stanford. That at least I haven't seen. Have you seen that? The lower drop in participation, except for I say the alumni coming back or Spirit Week or whatever.
Yeah,
or homecoming, I would say. Yeah.
that's actually a good point right there. Micah did say that we both worked at Stanford for a good time period.
Hmm.
And I did see, even not at the Stanford, but other schools, students go and get the free t-shirt, bobblehead, whatever giveaway, promotion they're giving away, pick it up and walk back to their dorm or house party, wherever they're going at. Alumni, they do come because it's a time that they can catch up with friends,
Hmm.
but they are not pretty much there for the game. The game is just a place they can meet up.
Yeah.
They're pretty much there like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you since we graduated or
Yeah.
whenever it was.
I think the main problem now is I think schools opened with the intention that students would actually listen to the rules of social distancing. And I mean, freshmen,
Oh,
incoming freshmen, and even upperclassmen, like they're there to party as well as go to school. So I think
of course. Haven't you heard about these fraternities and sororities during parties and having outbreaks of the COVID-19 virus?
exactly. I've heard about it, especially in North Carolina, one of the top ACC
Yes.
schools. They had to shut down because in the first weekend of school actually starting, there were house parties and a lot of people contracted COVID. So I think it won't affect the college football season as much because I don't think they should be having fans within their stadiums, and that's just my personal take. Because at the end of the day, you're playing with your team. I mean, the crowd is there to hype you guys up, but I think you just focus on the game, and then everything else should follow.
Yeah, it's just tough because you may have that one student athlete that goes to that one party off
That's right.
campus.
That's true. Hmm.
It's very difficult time, so it's just a real place we're in. We hope that there is a cultural season for these young athletes. Give them a shot to play. Some of these may be the last chance to ever put the pads on.
That's right.
We're just going to move on to NBA playoffs. What
I
an incredible weekend we had here.
Yep. Luka's amazing comeback on a soft ankle that he sprained earlier in the playoffs, and I think game two.
Yeah.
They now have tied the series 2-2 against the LA Clippers, one of the defensively dominant teams within the NBA, within the West, I should say, with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and Patrick Beverley. I have my own take on Patrick Beverley, but with two strong defensive players, I think the Mavericks might pull this comeback off. With
It was incredible having Luka come back after spraining his ankle. I heard from other sports anchors saying that he was going to be out for the season, but he prevailed. He was able to go play for his team and had that clutch shot at the end of the first overtime.
right, and also without the help of Kristaps Porzingis, 'cause I don't think he was in the past two games, right? Because I think he was suspended or something due to
I
a
don't
technical.
know. He
Well,
might have.
even if he was with him, if Kristaps was in the game, Luka had a phenomenal game. Let's talk about the sweep of Philadelphia 76ers against Boston Celtics. And in that, the breaking news today where the 76ers fired their head coach, Brett Brown. How do you think the future of the 76ers goes um, with uh, this chain reaction of firing Brett Brown, and where do they see to go into the future with their players as well?
Well, the Sixers have been a very weird team. For a while, they were a team that were always drafting high. They were trying to figure out a process. Yeah, let's go with the
Let's
process.
go with the process.
um, to figure out perform, have the best team perform out there. And we've seen some great talent coming out. They have drafted from Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and all the other young stars. I can't think of those two at this time. And
They
it's
have
kind of
Tobias Harris. They have Al Horford. Primarily, I think their main goal is to go big and have athletic players to keep up with this new game of small ball. If many of you have not heard of it, small ball is basically just a moving around of players, constant moving around with or without the ball. Where in back in the 90s and 2000s, it was just having the big man be in the middle. I think I think they're gonna have to make a change. I don't know if Joel or Ben is gonna be a part of that future, but I think they're gonna have to make a change in where they're gonna have to get more shifty guys, guys like Damian Lillard, guys like if they were to draft and try and trade up to get someone like LaMelo, who's a great 3-point shooter and a um, great facilitator around the rim. So I think someone like LaMelo, someone that's big, but also someone that's quick on their feet to help um, them in the near future for future success.
Yeah, they need better. They have a great defensive team with Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Simmons is a great passer. He's athletic, but they don't have that elite scorer yet, I feel like.
Yeah, they don't have like that dominant scorer like
And I believe with the firing of Brett Brown, they're
mm-hmm,
going to be trying to look for a coach that will emphasize on offense more
mm-hmm,
and be able to put up points, matching up, as we said, the small ball, which is more of a shooting-based teams,
right.
shooting threes, moving around.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to find a way to extend their shooting range beyond the arc.
Yeah, and like we've all seen it. Fans of the NBA, we've seen Ben Simmons try to extend his range out to the 3-point. We've seen him make his first three in the NBA this past season, and I mean, it was exciting for those 76ers fans. But I think, they need more shooters, not just drivers. And I understand driving gets to the rim, but you're not going to compete with teams such as the Warriors who thrive off the small ball, or even now the Celtics who kind of thrive off the small ball but have those good slashers and good scorers like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
So now let's talk about some recent NFL news that happened over the weekend. Earl Thomas. Kris, you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, Earl Thomas, he was just released from the Baltimore Ravens, which was a big surprise, other than what he done this past weekend, which was punching one of his teammates and
Oh.
getting fights with other members of the Ravens organization. But being such a well-known safety, a person that has won Super Bowls in Seattle, is quote unquote almost a team captain of that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Rappaport shared out that since his release, the 49ers, Texans, and Cowboys have been inquiring on Thomas and are looking to bring him in. What do you think about that? Those three teams.
The Texans and who else?
The 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys being, Thomas has been wanting to go there for a while back in, I want to say, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Not 2018. Yes, 2018. Mixing my dates here. There was reports saying that he went into the Cowboys locker room to talk to Jason Garrett to bring him to Dallas.
I mean, the Texans and Dallas are two very strong defensive teams. I don't think it would mix well with the 49ers, where they have a good DB, safety, and cornerback circle of players. But I think he would fit within the Dallas system very well because who are the cornerbacks and the safeties that they have? Right, the DBs.
For the Cowboys?
Yeah.
The Cowboys, I'm looking them up right now to speak. So your money is that the Cowboys are going to pick him up after he clears waivers?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. As I just said, like there's been mentions of him going to the Cowboys for years now. So the Cowboys defensive backs have Ha Clinton Dix as strong safety,
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Woods at free safety,
Yep.
Tavon Diggs, and Shidabi Awazi at corner.
And in total, how many interceptions and total receiving yards have they had on defense? Or knockdown receiving yards have they had? Can you say?
I feel like not much outside of those linebackers. The defense out there is probably not the best. They have a great front seven.
Mm-hmm.
But bringing in Clinton Dix was the biggest defensive backs person or player in quite a while, I want to say, since probably prime time moved over there.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up and plays this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which right now in the wait and see mode.
Yeah, I think he's going to go to Dallas. If not, I think the Texans would accept him, but I mean, it's really a toss-up at this point with only 3 weeks left in before season actually takes off. But yeah. But with that being said, let's get into the recent AP polls that we had for
college
football. Let's start off with number 1, Clemson. What do you think about Clemson being number 1 when they dropped all the way to 38? It says right here. I'm sorry, I'm going to share the screen.
38 means how many votes, first place votes they have. So they have 38 of the first place votes, which I totally agree with. Clemson being to the national championships for 2 years in a row. They were on a massive winning streak. What was it? 15.
Are the votes based off of? Are the votes based off of what they have gained and what they have lost, or is it just from past years of AP polls and their seasons?
The votes are through the AP Associated Press, so it's the news writers picking the teams which they believe are the best.
I see.
All around.
I see.
So as Micah has brought up the school, which we're going to list the top 5 right now. So Clemson with 38 of the votes, Ohio State 21, Alabama 2, Georgia, Oklahoma with 2 of them. Knowing this, guys, this is before
the season actually starts.
All the season starts, and they haven't taken out the teams that are no longer going to be playing. So teams from the Big Ten and the Pac-12. You see in the top 10, we have 1, 2. I want to say 3 teams that are not scheduled to play at the moment.
They actually have like the breakdown. I forget where it is. It's right here. So in SEC they have 7, Big Ten they have 6, Big 12 4, ACC 3, Pac-12 3, and then the American League is 2. So the the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are probably, those teams are going to be scratched because their season has been postponed. I kind of want to bring this up. How do you think the playoff race is going to be with teams outside the AP poll now starting to come into AP poll frame, such as let me see. So we have, I'll just name off the rest. It's Penn State, Florida, Oregon, Notre Dame, Auburn, Wisconsin, Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma State, Michigan, USC, North Carolina, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Central Florida, Utah, Iowa State, Iowa, and Tennessee. Once those Big Ten and Pac-12 teams come out, how do you see like is Florida State in here? No, right?
Florida State
is not in there. Wow.
Is not in this at the moment. But you're going to see them coming in. Like, it's going to be a massive shift in the rankings this year because we did lose 2 of the big divisions. 2
of the biggest conferences.
But there was a quote I saw from Debo Sweeney. I feel like I'm butchering his name. The head coach of Clemson, saying that about the CFP title and how the Big Ten and Pac-12 are going to hurt the value of it. He said that the 4 best teams can go play. We've been one of those 4 teams for 5 years in a row. So in my opinion, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything for us. Whoever wins it, wins it. That's the champ. What do you agree? Do you agree with Dabo?
Then he said that they played 4 of those teams that are dropping out?
No, they've been one of those teams 4 or 5 years. He's talked about it doesn't matter who's in it. If they win it, they're the champs.
This year's gonna have a big ass asterisk because you're missing two of the biggest conferences, one within Central America and one on the Pacific. I mean, you have USC and Oregon who are top contenders for the Pac-12.
If you guys are looking at the list right now, you have Oregon at the time of this ranking was ranked 9, and USC ranked 17.
And then you have Utah, who's been a good contender. I mean, they finished first this past year in the South. I want
Yeah,
to
they
say
were ranked
of the Pac-12,
22nd.
22nd. I mean, you have Michigan. They're getting taken away. Who
Well,
else is
look
in
at
the
the
Pac-10?
second
Big
team.
Ten.
Second team overall, Ohio State is
Oh, getting
not
taken away too.
behind.
Yep.
Right?
Um, I mean,
Just looking
you're
through the
miss.
list. There's just so
Yeah,
many teams that, as we said, like
Wisconsin.
there was
No,
about
Wisconsin, Big 12, right?
6 teams from the Big. Wisconsin is in the Big Ten.
So they're getting taken out.
Yeah, so 6 teams from the Big Ten, 3 from the Pac-12. So that's 9 teams from
Let's just make it easier.
the list.
Yeah, nine teams, which is
Are
2,
going to be
7,
gone.
12, 16, 19, 24, 9, 17, and 22. Though, they're all going to be gone. And I mean, a lot of the big games, they do happen from the They do happen to be from the SEC in the past 2 years. But I mean, if you have, let's take it back all the way to 2014, where Ohio State and Oregon played. They played for the national championship. Like
Yes.
that game would basically be gone if they were to stay in. I mean, there's a lot of big names in the AP polls, and I mean, we're not going to be able to see them play, which is a bit upsetting. But I mean, it's going to be a big asterisk when it comes to the national championship title. I mean,
Well, you can say that about almost any sport right now, other than
Yeah.
NFL for now.
Mhm.
The MLB, they shortened the season from 162 games to just 60.
Mhm.
So they extended the playoffs from 6 teams from each each conference.
Isn't it
division.
8, man?
It's now 8 now.
Yeah, it's 8.
So that is now more than half of the league is going to go into the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So a team could really suck and just get hot right in the playoffs.
Mhm.
And there were the 8th seed or the 7th seed team in their respective division.
Yeah. So I
And
mean,
somehow they win.
yeah, like Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC, they're going to have a bigger chance, obviously, just to win a national championship. But conferences like the SEC, they're not going to be able to play Big 10 games or Pac-12 games. One game that I actually did want to see was USC played Alabama. It was going to be held in Arlington, Texas. I was actually wanting to go to that game, but we had if the last schedule that we had before the updated schedule of a 10-game schedule was updated, I would have actually gone to that game because Stanford played William and Mary that weekend. So it wasn't really a big
last
game.
time that USC faced Alabama was back in 2016. That opened up the season that year, where USC lost 52-6.
Holy shit!
Alabama just destroyed USC.
Who was their quarterback?
Let's see. Sam Darnold was the quarterback of USC.
Alabama, I mean.
For Alabama was Max Brownie.
Who got most of the points? They're rushing or they're passing? I don't remember. I think it was their passing, right?
It was mostly done in the running game. Defensive. There was one defensive score in that game.
Who was their running back? Was it
and
who was their running back?
The running back for which team?
Alabama.
For Alabama. Alabama's rushing. The lead rusher was. Let's see, that's USC's. I'm looking it up right now. He also played at USC? Huh. Who was it? Anthony. No, that's a USC player. It's not USC.
Look it up right now.
Oh, oops. That Jalen Hurts. Sorry.
Oh, Jalen.
Jalen Hurts was the quarterback. I was looking at USC. I don't know why I was looking at them. So the quarterback for USC was Max Brown. Sam Darnold was the backup. For USC, it was Jalen Hurts as the primary.
Wait. You said Jalen Hurts was for USC or not?
For Alabama.
Okay,
Alabama.
So that's their main quarterback. Who was their running back?
The running back was who had the most carries? The most carries was Bo Scarborough.
Oh,
Another guy, he had 11 carries in that game. Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. I'm just looking at who had the most yards and touchdowns. Damian Harris was also on that team.
sounds familiar.
He had 138 yards on 9 carries.
Well, we can say this, that USC has stepped it up in the last couple of years.
I was kind of sad. Well, that was before Sam Darnold came into the league. He came into that game after they were destroyed.
Yeah.
And went 4 for 8 in his brief time out there, throwing for approximately 29 yards.
All right. Well, yeah, those are the AP top 25s, and
I can't wait until we get the updated AP top 25.
Yeah.
Closer to when the new season is about to start. It's going to be a massive change.
I'm going to be very surprised with some teams actually making the top 25.
Yeah, and we'll cover that when the new top 25 comes out.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on to what today is. Today being August 24th is better known here in the States right now and maybe around the world as National Kobe Day. Micah, I'll let you talk about Kobe.
Oh, Kobe Bryant, as we all know, is probably one of the greatest Lakers of all time, behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Elgin Baylor, many of the top legends in Lakers history. So today, 824 represents two numbers that he wore as a Laker. Number 8 and number 24 both retired last year, right? Yeah, retired last year.
It was retired practically after he retired.
Yeah, literally after he retired. A couple of years after he retired, but nevertheless, tragically, this past January, he passed away. And Kris, I wanted to get, just some thoughts of where you were on certain achievements that Kobe had achieved throughout his life. So the first one was the 81-point game against the Raptors, being the second person to score the most points in a game, that next to Wilt Chamberlain scoring allegedly 100 points in one game. This was in 2006. Where do you think you were during this Kobe game?
2006. Wow, it's bringing me back. I was probably 11 or 12 at the time. Basketball, I did play it in middle school, but I was not a fan of watching the game. I didn't even knew what teams were in the league other than I think I knew Miami. I knew of the Lakers.
Obviously,
but I didn't know who anyone was or any players other than the 80s and 90s scene, Jordan, Shaq, some like the big names. I did not know who Kobe was at the time. So that was nothing to care to me. It was until 2012 when I started getting into basketball, like the actual NBA. And I saw a player go out for 60 points. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of points. Looked up who scored the most points. And I saw it was Wilt Chamberlain at 100 and Kobe Bryant with 81. Micah, do you remember that game or you were too young at the time?
I was only 8 years old. I mean, I love playing basketball. Basketball is like my first love for sports. But I was raised here in Hawaii. And I mean, we're behind 3 hours. So I think I was probably in school or I was outside playing or actually playing sports at that time. So I wasn't able to watch, that great game of him scoring 81 points, but it just shows just how determined he was. I don't remember the actual reason he scored 81 points or the drama behind it, but I know Jalen Rose, who is a current analyst on ESPN, he always got grief for whenever, because he was on that Toronto team. He would always get grief for getting scored 81 points by Kobe just against the entire team. So yeah, that was probably one of his biggest achievements outside of actually getting drafted in '96 and winning 3 championships with Shaq in 2000, 2001, and 2002. But probably another great achievement was his appearance in the Olympics and winning the gold medal with the Redeemed team in 2008. Do you remember where you were during that time?
the Olympics in 2008, I remember watching them. They were held in Beijing. But as again, this is during like my blank period of the NBA or even basketball in general. I probably saw maybe a game or two, but I was more focused on the other Summer Olympic sports. I think I was watching more Michael Phelps, another Olympic GOAT right there. But Kobe being able to wear the USA on his jersey, bringing home a gold medal to his home country, it was a place that Kobe knows it was going to hold a place in his heart. Micah, you're actually on mute right now.
I see. After I would always watch, USA teams, both 2012, 2016. Some I would watch were the 2008, where it had Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. I think Carmelo was on there. I don't actually remember. Dwight Howard, Jason Kidd, a lot of the NBA greats that have retired in the past decade. But it's just like the brotherhood with Coach Krzyzewski, the great Coach Krzyzewski. It's just a brotherhood and always representing, your brothers and, representing your country. I think it was a big deal for Kobe just to prove that he could play outside the NBA and play some of the greatest countries, such as Argentina, who had Manu Ginobili, France, who had Tony Parker. I can go on and on. They had Spain, who had his teammate Paul Gasol and his brother Marc Gasol, both twin towers coming out of Spain. China, who I don't think they had anyone. Yeah, I don't think they had anyone.
Your guess is as good as mine right now.
Yeah. But yeah, just him proving with the Redeem team, since the Dream Team in 1992 with Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, all the NBA greats, just to prove that the U.S. is still top dog in the world of basketball. But he just just another achievement under his belt with a gold medal. The next achievement that I want to talk about was his double back-to-back, the 2009-2010 NBA championship. I remember where I was during both these series.
Then speak upon it, because again, this is the time I was not focused onto basketball.
Yeah.
I just started to learn baseball statistics at this point. I was learning about the whole league and figuring out baseball. So that was the time. If you want to talk about the 2009 World Series and having Philly, I think Philly won in 2008. Was it Yankees? 9 or 10 when the San Francisco Giants won.
That was against Houston, right?
The Giants was against the Texas Rangers.
Texas, yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
in fact, Houston was actually still in the National League at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so in 2009, 2010, my friend, he was a big Boston fan, like a huge Boston fan. And that was the time, 2009 was the time they beat the Orlando Magic. I remember that. And 2010 was the time they beat Boston. I knew Kobe was pissed about losing 2008 because that was the last time he played Boston. But my friend was a big Boston fan, and I would always go to his house to sleep over and hang out. So one day it was during the NBA Finals, and Boston was playing, and they were playing the Lakers, and it was the final game. It was Game 7, and I just remember sitting there and just watching greatness happen with Kobe, just showing out against his rivals within the Celtics, and it just showed just how much fire he had, from the negativity from the press, from the media, to other teams such as the Celtics. It just showed how much determination, how much fire he still had for the game after not winning in a drought for over 8 years since 2002. And losing to Detroit in 2003. Wow, I am a really big book nerd when it comes to Kobe Bryant. And I don't know. I've been a LeBron James fan, but I've been a Kobe fan ever since those two championships. And just a disclaimer, I don't have a team for the NBA. Unlike the NFL and the MLB, I don't have a team for the NBA. I just love to watch basketball. But yeah, it was just cool. It was just cool to see, one, my best friend his team lose, and two, just to kind of shove it in his face every time that it comes up. And it's like, because a lot of people hop back and forth, and he was one of those people. I'm like, oh, so you don't like the Celtics now? And it's kind of like the bandwagon effect. But yeah, 2009, 2010 were the greatest years for Kobe. I think without having someone to carry him or him to carry someone. Um, I think one of his lesser known achievements was when he tore his Achilles and got up to shoot those last two free throws when he got fouled. Chris, where were
Okay, now this is the time that I actually started watching basketball. So I started watching basketball in 2012. I just started college, and I didn't really know what to watch. I didn't have my own TV. I was sharing with my roommate at the time, so I was like, okay, I'll just start watching sports. Like we both like it. It's an easy common ground between guys. And I discovered the Golden State Warriors because that was like one of the few channels I got, and it was a game I could watch like nearly every day whenever they played.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2013, I remember this game because he was facing against those Warriors at the time, and he was guarding Klay Thompson, or he was being guarded by Klay Thompson. And when he was guarding and trying to shoot, you could just see a twist in his ankle that was not supposed to be. And him being able to just like hop to the free throw line, make those 2 free throws, because he knows if he gets taken out before he makes those free throws, he was not going to be able to come back to the game. He was able to shoot those free throws and go off the bench almost on his own accord.
Yeah, and again, here in Hawaii, this was the time I actually started high school. Or I was in my second semester of my freshman year, but I was boarding, and I didn't have a TV when I was boarding, so I only had to look at highlights. But when I saw this, I got upset because I thought it was, as you say, Klay Thompson's fault that he got hurt. But I mean, an Achilles injury can happen to anyone, and it just happened to Kevin Durant in the past year. It happened to if you watch YouTube and you watch the Global Hooper, his name is the Professor. It just happened to him as well. It's just a misstep, and it could happen to anyone, just a Achilles injury. But I'm assuming I was in probably class when this happened, or I was probably at practice. I don't remember, but I do remember just hearing about the actual update, and I was a little disheartened by it. But after like just seeing the progress of his Achilles and not forcing his way back, took some real heart for Kobe Bryant to do, because he knew he was on the backstretch of his career, but he also knew that Father Time would come and take his career away, basically. But he knew just to not rush it and just to have the medical experts heal that Achilles before he retired in 2016, which brings me up to. No, go ahead.
I was about to talk about what you just going to talk about. Like, even though he tore his Achilles late in his career, he was able to rehab and be able to play. Just a few more years later, retiring in 2016, his last game, I can't remember who they faced.
The Utah Jazz.
Thank you. I was about to say Utah, but I was not confident at the time.
Oh, don't worry, I got you.
He went out there his last game in the Lakers uniform, last game in Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
He goes off and scores 60 points.
Probably one of the greatest showings in the last game ever. I mean, the most recent last game ever was Vince Carter, who only played the last minutes only played a few minutes within his last game with the Hawks. But the funniest thing was, if many people haven't heard this already, was Shaq, his former teammate, asked Kobe to score 50, and he left.
Motherfucker went for 60 points.
And he went for 60 points. And it just shows, like, if you dare me to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. And he scored 60, which, I mean, probably the greatest way to go out is, you get the ball every possession. You get to come up every possession. The entire city of LA, Snoop Dogg,
all the greats were out there watching.
His family was there.
One of the best players in basketball of that generation.
I think one of the other greatest highlights was when he waved to his family, Vanessa Bryant, Natalia, Gigi, and I forget his last daughter, Bianca. I think she was there. I think she was born. But she was waving, smiling, and then once he was done, he just turned back. He just turned back on the switch, and I think just that killer mentality of, I got to finish this game. I mean, I love my family, but I just got to finish this game, and that really stood out a lot. It stood out a lot to me, just how much he, just how much he loved this game and how much. I mean, he left everything on that court that night. And we talked about this before. We talked about some of his some of his greatest achievements, but in this past year in January, he passed away. Kris, where were you when you heard about this?
I remember that was back, as we said, in January 26th of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I saw an update from TMZ saying that Kobe Bryant had passed away. Thinking it was TMZ, it was fake news.
Yep.
And I went to turn on the news to see if there was any true updates about it. There was nothing for a little bit, for probably a good 10, 15 minutes. All I knew was TMZ said Kobe Bryant is dead. Everybody was looking online like, hey, is Kobe actually dead? Like, no, Kobe can't die. Like, there was no possible way. Then the news came of the helicopter crash.
Oh, sorry.
It was tragic.
Oh, wait. I'm looking at March.
It was tragic news that the star of LA, a face of the league,
mm-hmm.
was going to pass so soon in his young life. It was a tough moment for any basketball fan or any fan of sports in general. Micah, you being a Kobe fan, what was going through your mind? Where were you at this moment?
Well, the night before I worked at Stanford, and I stayed up all night. I pulled all-nighters late, casually in college, as we all do, to probably work on homework or just to work on things. The reason I was up actually was I didn't want to wake up late because one of our coworkers forgot the keys and forgot to put them back, and it kind of pissed me off because I, had to wake up or stay up that late and go early to drop them off. But I went, dropped off the keys, walked all the way back to my school, and I went to sleep. I woke up around noon, and I just looked at my phone. I was just looking at my phone, and I saw ESPN updates. That's how I knew it was real. It was ESPN. It wasn't even TMZ. And it said Kobe Bryant died. I was like, wait, what? And then it had the other updates of the other people that passed away. And then I think the last thing that kind of hurt more was his daughter was on. His daughter was on the flight with him. But yeah, I was in my dorm room, basically half awake, but I felt like a wave of emotions just come over, and I started looking on YouTube. I saw Shaq's reaction. I saw Randy Moss's reaction was probably the most heartbreaking. It made me cry the most. I cried for like a week straight, and that was just because of Kobe Bryant. And it taught me a lot. I'm away from my family a lot because I lived in the Bay Area for the last 2 years since 2018. I worked a lot. It just showed me not to take anything for granted because I do fly a lot too, and anything could happen at that moment. And my dad's a pilot. He flies a lot too. So I texted my parents, told them I love them, and in casual form or in usual form, they'd be like, "What's happening?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it was about this past Sunday. Like nothing's happening. Just it was about this past Sunday." And they're saying, "Yep, cherish what you have now," and that's what that taught me.
So in that crash, not only Kobe died, his pilot passed away, his daughter Gigi Bryant,
mm-hmm.
A friend of theirs, which they were flying to a game for Gianna.
And her teammates were on the
her basketball coach, John and Tarblee,
mm-hmm.
and a couple other teammates in their family was on that helicopter. It was a sad moment for not just only for Kobe and the basketball world, but it was sad that we lost 9 people so soon in their young lives.
And I think people that got hit the most, aside from the Bryant family, were the basketball world. I mean, if you've seen updates of games, you've seen Trae Young, Luka Doncic, a lot of young players that looked up to Kobe, and Kobe looked and guided them with their careers. They all broke down that day, and they scored. Trae Young scored a massive amount of points. I think it was 50 plus points that one day. He scored his career high, and he said it was for Kobe and Gigi. University of Connecticut, where Gianna said she was going to go in for college, they reserved 2 seats for her and Kobe Bryant on the sideline or on the bench for them. Stanford University had a tribute for all the families, not just Kobe, but all the families as well.
Talking about the NBA, they also, a lot of teams took 24-second violations and 8-second violations to honor Kobe. As we said, he wore both the number 8 and the number 24 to honor and respect him.
Yeah.
It was just a tough moment for the whole basketball world community and the community of LA.
Yeah. It was nice, and it was very heartwarming to see that many, not even Lakers fans, just fans of basketball and fans of the NBA just stop what they're doing, especially those in LA, go to Staples Center, have a memorial for him, for the fans. And that brings me to the last thing about Kobe Bryant that not only that we have heard about, but that was very public, was his funeral. We both were in the same place that day.
Yes, at this time we were still working with Stanford Athletics. We were working a basketball game at this time, where
we worked the entire game.
Stanford women's basketball team was facing Oregon State women's basketball team. Oregon, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oregon, not Oregon State.
Yeah. It was, the mood that was the day that we had the tribute for Kobe Bryant and Gigi and the other families. I can't remember off the top of my head. Luckily you said it, but we had that that moment of silence. But that day was the funeral of Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. Was it Jimmy Kimmel or was it?
We had many.
I'm talking about the funeral. I had the funeral that day. I'm talking about the funeral.
Yeah,
I'll get to the game. Yeah, I'll get to the game.
I was not talking about the game. I was talking about many stars were at the funeral.
Yeah.
Talking about moments of the day. One of the talk show hosts, we talked about I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. During his monologue, toward the crowd and toward the whole world, a story of him meeting Kobe for the first time, and how it affected him, just the passing of, I want to say, even though he was just 40, he was still young. He just retired from basketball. He started a new career. If people remember his little Oscar award-winning video, Dear Basketball. The world lost somebody that was it was just a tough moment for everybody which knew Kobe or was just a fan of Kobe. Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel, Shaq, Michael Jordan, probably a big brother in the eyes of many people, especially Kobe Bryant. They talked. Diana Taurasi, also known as probably the women version of Kobe Bryant, probably better. Sabrina Ionescu, who is was the former point guard for the University of Oregon. Vanessa Bryant, his wife, talked. There were just many people in the NBA there that day. And as I transitioned to the game, Sabrina flew from LA back to the Bay Area, Palo Alto, to play with her team to win a championship for not only herself and her team, but for Kobe. Steph Curry, who was at the funeral, flew back to Stanford to watch Oregon versus Stanford. Russell Wilson. Yeah, flew back to watch his sister. That night it was packed. It was super packed. You could feel the energy of just pure basketball that night. In the first half, it was super close. And Sabrina was actually going for an achievement that I don't think any other women's basketball player has. It was a triple double, or it was 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 2,000 assists, or something. It was something around there, but it just showed just what her Mamba mentality was like and how much she idolized Kobe. I'm sorry, I don't remember the actual stat, but it just showed just her aggressiveness towards playing the game and how much she kind of idolized and resembled Kobe in a female fashion, just like Diana Taurasi did. But it was still a sad day. It was still his funeral, but it was also a great day for basketball to see someone who idolized Kobe that much to bring it in their last regular season game before the playoffs. Um, but to turn something so grim and so sad into something positive. Oh, sorry,
Yes,
Kris.
I
Go ahead.
want to talk about today and yesterday, 8/23, which was actually Kobe Bryant's birthday.
Mhm.
I just want to bring up what the league and other major leagues did in honoring the late Kobe Bryant,
Mhm.
wearing his jersey. If you saw the Los Angeles Dodgers, all wore either 8 or 24 in their pregame workouts.
Mhm.
Other teams were wearing his jerseys or taking a moment
I'm
to
silence. Yeah,
showcase
just.
Kobe on the board.
Mhm. Yeah, it was also
And
the Pro
today,
Bowl. It was also the Pro
uh,
Bowl on the 26th of January. So
yes,
the NFL just stopped and just come. I applaud all of the leagues for showing just how much respect they had for Kobe and how much he brought to not only the world of basketball but the world of sports, the world of business, the world of creativity in that matter. But trying to turn something to a positive, it taught many, not just myself, it taught many people the relationship of family is so important, and just to always keep that in mind when you're doing anything
something I
is
want
like.
to add before we go off. Today, being 8/24, the Lakers are going to be playing the Blazers for Game 3. I want to
Mhm.
say Game 3 or
Four.
Game 4. Game
Yeah.
4. And they'll be wearing the blacked out jerseys to honor Kobe, if you saw. Any
Hmm.
thoughts about that?
um Blackout jerseys, the one with the gold trimming on top.
Yes, they're wearing the Kobe Bryant like jerseys, I want to say.
I mean,
If you want,
I have a thing.
so
Let me
the
look at
Los
it.
Angeles Lakers, they decide because today is 8/24 and they're scheduled to play, they're going to wear those types of jerseys to honor Kobe Bryant.
Is it this one?
Yes, those
Yeah.
jerseys, the Black Mamba jerseys.
It fucking perfect. uh, this is the Lakers' time to win a championship, and I mean, I don't want to go on a tangent because we just talked about Kobe, but um, yeah, I think they already honored him so much with LeBron's speech and just taking it from the heart, introducing everyone from Lower Merion High School, number 24, number 8, Kobe Bryant. But I think they should do anything and everything they can to commemorate Kobe Bryant, and they still continue to do it till this day. Um,
Micah, you went on mute.
yeah, I saw that. Whether it's a regular, did I already talk about that? Either way, I do like what the Lakers organization is doing to commemorate Kobe, and I think they should do that every single day, not just on special occasions, or not just the playoffs or regular season, but just every single day, because that man helped put the Lakers organization on the map in the 2000s and the 2010s. That was a lot. That was a
Yes.
lot. Well,
Yeah,
to
but
make
that being said, I feel like we can't really talk about anything else after we talked about Kobe,
yep.
him passing just this year.
Hmm.
2020 is kind of sucked for everybody.
Yeah. Um, just trying to make everything into a positive.
So we'll be back recording on Thursday, 8/27, I want to say.
27. Yep. And we'll
We'll
have
try to
more
bring
updates.
happier news,
Yeah.
bring back that positive attitude you guys expected from us in the last couple pods.
Hmm.
Today was just kind of a downer because of the Kobe day, but he was mama mentality, so we're gonna get into that mode. We're gonna try to get focused back up and bring in like really good content for you guys.
Yep. With that being said, guys, please subscribe to our channel. It's going to help a lot. We're primarily going to be posting on YouTube. We're going to hope to be posting on Spotify and Apple Music podcasts in the near future. But with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.